Hey guys, it's Norm from Tested.com, and I'm super excited to be here with Paul Francis. You're the director of a new collectibles company, Chronicle Collectibles. You guys are creating an amazing replica of the Robocop 2 Cain robot.
That's right, we're at Tippett Studios today.
Tippett Studio, that's Phil Tippett.
We're not in Dallas, Texas, so this is really great. Phil is our Legacy Series partner, and one of the pieces that I've always loved from a kid growing up and inspired me was Ed 209, and then with Robocop was the Cain robot. And everybody said, you can never replicate the Cain robot because it's like a mountain of work.
Yes.
But we wanted to prove that it could be done.
Right, and this is a perfect replica of the stop motion, the go motion maquette. Now we could go and we will pour over all the details of your replica.
Absolutely.
What better way to talk about that, to show off the details, than to show how it compares to the original?
Exactly, and they built about 8 of these for the film. There were 7 that were stop motion, and there was 1 that they threw down the elevator shaft, which was rubber, which one of our fans and purchasers actually own. So, yeah, these guys are extremely complex. Craig Hayes, built all of these little guys, and what the people really need to understand was when these miniatures were made, we didn't have 3D printing. Mm-hmm. We didn't have 10-axis CNC machines. These guys were on an end mill making 7 of these identically every single time.
Now,
and they're precision perfect. I mean, everything on this guy has to work and move just like a puppet.
It's not just a sculpture, it's functional,
yeah,
because it's a puppet.
They're not maquettes. These are the actual film puppets that were used in the movie. I mean, these guys actually, he has such a wide range of motion and, guns that pop up. And what's really interesting is ours is a little more weathered than this guy, mainly because this is one of the earlier versions of Cain.
You mentioned
so
there are 8.
as they go through the history of the film, they get a little more damage, they get a little more beat up, they get a little greasier. There's one scene where the ATV runs into Cain, he does the spider thing, and all of his arms fly out, and so he gets a lot more damage as the film goes along.
So that's what you guys did when you got the license to make a Robocop 2 replica. You went to Tippett. You said, we want to get the original parts.
Well, actually, we came to Phil first.
Came to Phil.
Yeah.
And you looked at the entire line, these 8 maquettes, which are still around, and picked the one in the film that you wanted to represent, that state of Cain in the film.
We didn't pick it. We let Phil pick what he wanted. So, this is Phil's Legacy Series. This is something that he gets to leave behind for the fans. And Phil has done stuff before where he signed autographs for pieces, but he wasn't really involved in the production of the piece. My whole business motto is work with the original artist, work with the original molds, make it as accurate as possible for the fans.
So this is a complicated piece. It's clear, it's functional, it was used for stop motion.
Oh, yeah.
How many pieces are in this original?
Mark DeBow, our project leader here at Tippett Studios, worked with Damon Bard and Sam Tippett and Andy and the whole crew that was here, and he clocks in at 300 individual resin cast pieces. Now, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's over 800 pieces if you consider every screw, nut, washer, hose, line that's in this thing. This will be one of the most complex prop replicas ever made.
And so these 800 pieces, you actually had to disassemble. Mark disassembled one of the maquettes and then reassembled it to make it work, because you don't want to leave it in pieces.
Exactly. Well, what we really did was we had original masters that Phil had found.
So we have copies.
We had original copies of the actual parts from back in the day.
Yeah.
So on specific pieces where they were too delicate to take apart, we went back to the well and we went from the original master, so you don't damage these priceless artifacts.
And there's also no paint on the original masters, so you can actually get that flat texture and then apply your detailing later.
Exactly, and that wouldn't have been bad because we're making a battle damaged version anyway. So if the paint was on there, it just adds another level of detail. But in this case, yeah, you're absolutely right, going back to the well and getting these from the original molds and from the original castings. I just don't think you can get more accurate than this.
And you have there like a bag of just parts.
Yeah.
These are cast parts.
It's insane the amount of parts that went into this thing. It's,
wow.
It's, this is the hammer that you can see in here, and it's, we had to, make every one of these pieces.
And we're talking about all the scratches.
All the scratches. Those are already in there. Craig sculpted these with all that that's the original intent, was those pieces were already kind of battle damaged.
And then you have boxes, and those are the molds. You have basically large like crates of
we just have hundreds, and that one actually has a a Cain part in it. So we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of molds, and it's just it's a mountain of information, and it's there again. It's telling a story. That's what's really great about this.
You're tapping right to the source. So you told me for something like the decals, you wanted the decals to be exactly as they were. But I look at your replica, and I can actually read some of the decals.
Yeah, we went one step further. What happened with the original decals were, they made these on a machine. Back in the day, how clean can you get on technology from late 80s, early 90s? It just wasn't there. Now we can print model quality decals, and we can get all the detail. And Phil, being the hoarder that he is, and saved everything that he did, and thank goodness that he did that. We had the original contact sheets for all of the decals for the 1-to-1 scale Cain. And a little funny story for the fans was we sent these over to MGM to get them approved for Cain and Ed 209 and all these. And they said, well, we can't approve these. And we said, well, why not? And they said, well, they're not what we've done before. And I said, well, that's because you haven't had Phil involved. So now they're going back and they're changing their entire library of what's available to manufacturers when they make this stuff.
And the fans are so obsessive. They'll go through the Blu-ray, and they'll notice that from one maquette to another, somewhere on the decal will be a little different. They'll notice the life-size Cain and the miniature Cain will have a slightly different.
Absolutely. And that's one of the funny things about this was when we made the Cain model that we didn't have this gun on it. And this gun doesn't really show up until the end of the film. So Roger Lavinius, one of the fans that we work with, he runs a Cain website, and he is probably what I would consider an uber fan. And he contacted me, said, hey, much love, your Cain's great, but you're missing the gun. And I said, what do you mean we're missing the gun? The maquette that we went from didn't have the gun. He goes, you used the maquette with the headlamps as a guide, and yours doesn't have the headlamps, so yours should have the gun. And I was like, oh my goodness. So we got with Mark DeBow, and Mark, got the original masters and everything and made us the gun, so now it's on our Cain model. Wow. So we listen to the fans, we appreciate that feedback, and we absolutely are changing things, modifying things, because we can't catch everything, and Phil honestly doesn't remember everything.
Yeah, I mean, they were making this on a production schedule.
That's right.
Exactly. So you're saying I could watch Robocop 2, the Blu-ray, high definition, and find the scene where you're taking that Cain puppet and basically look at that and say, that's
absolutely
1-to-1. That's exactly what it is.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and that's a testament to the quality of these miniatures. I mean, these things really fool the eye even to today, and I miss this, in films. This quality of work, now it would just be made in CGI, and we wouldn't have these wonderful artifacts.
And as fans, it's such a pleasure to be standing behind a piece of movie history, not just a maquette that was scanned and then CG rendered, actually used in bringing Cain to life.
That's right. Film. And so many people told me, they go, Robocop 2, I don't know about Robocop 2. They said, don't do passion projects. You never do passion projects. And you know what my answer to that was? If I'm not passionate about it, I don't want to make it. I don't want to do everything that everybody has done before. I want to do something unique, give the fans something that they've always wanted, and I think we've accomplished that.
Paul, that passion definitely comes through in this project, and you guys have other projects, Ed 209, other things working with Phil.
Starship Troopers, and more Robocop products on the way, more Cain products on the way, so you're going to get your Cain fix, in the next couple of years.
Thank you so much for inviting us to Tippett Studio and checking out the original maquette, original puppet, and your amazing replica.
Thank you.
I'm Norm. Check out more stuff on Tested. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.